Welcome, everyone, as we explore the pathway of enlightenment together. So I'd like for you to join me for a couple of short songs as we meditate and just take away the energy of the world and enter into a higher state of consciousness together. So let's do that. Center yourself in your heart. Take a breath. Relax. I'm on the road this week, and just want to let you know that next week I will be on the road also. So there will be no meditation next week, at least on YouTube. So let's make the most of this. Today I would like to talk about enlightenment. There's a lot of misconceptions about enlightenment. I'm not saying that I don't have any myself. I might. I'm expressing this to a human body. But let's look at what enlightenment is about. As I've talked in previous times, the heart is the center. As we move down into the chakras below the heart, you're moving into the ways of the world. Love in the lower heart is full of conditions. I'll love you as long as you don't beat me or cheat on me or that sort of thing. As long as you treat me with respect, I'll love you. This is conditional love. And it's what humans do. It's part of this world. When you move into the upper part of the heart here, you enter into unconditional love. But even here, it's still connected to the world. This is the guru love. This is the grandmother love. I love you no matter what, but I want you to improve. So there's still a little bit of judgment going on here. And it's a good place to be. The guru heart is so beautiful. This is where we come from, selfless giving and selfless service. And it is a high manifestation of enlightenment. But as we move up through the various chakras, will, manifestation through the third eye, so beautiful. You can get stuck here in the third eye. It's a doorway into different dimensions, gods and goddesses. All of these things are here. It's just an incredibly interesting and exciting place to find yourself. And you find yourself there in an almost non-physical way. And people think that's enlightenment. There's an ecstasy that goes on there that you just can't imagine anything being any better. But if you can manage to hold your attention on the divine and move up to the crown, when you go there, there's a complete dissolution that takes place. It is enlightenment. There is no things, just the divine, the void. When we talk about a void, we think of, well, nothing, right? But it is full. It is no thing, there's no things there, but there is pure spirit in such a way that the human mind and the human body can't conceive. But your soul goes there. And when we drop ourselves back into this this world from the enlightened state, my experience is this. It may be a little bit different for you, but when I come back from samadhi, the first thing I'm aware of, because I'm not there, but as I come back, I'm aware of this blinding white fluorescent light. And as it continues to come into me, it turns into gold. And as it continues down, that gold becomes solid in certain ways. It becomes more dense and lighter in others. And as it continues down, there's a little bit of gray and a little bit of color starts to happen. And the solid gold starts to become objects and movement, energy, continues down. Till I reach my human self and I have my first thought. And the first thought for me is always, wow. Wow. And I'm still in a very distant state. It continues down a long way until I get to language. Now, in Tibetan Buddhism, they call this entering into the six-windowed house, the six windows of our five senses and our mental capacity, of which everybody is a little different. Not only am I entering into my six-windowed house, but I'm entering into everyone and everything that I've experienced in this six-windowed house. I find myself in a body. There's a sense of separativity. In this body, it's like Ram Dass talked about it being a space suit. It gives me space. In here, I have an up and a down, in and an out. I have hot and cold. I'm in space. I have space here. And I have language, but it's limited. I've described this in many times. It's a thing that is like a broken record with me because I can't think of a better analogy. It's like describing a beautiful sunset with clouds and all kinds of most beautiful sunset you can imagine, and trying to describe it to someone who's been blind from birth. You do your best, but there really isn't a way to convey that experience to anyone. However, in the enlightenment process, there is a way to convey it. It's called a transmission. So when an enlightened teacher goes into what we call it superconscious or samadhi, they come down, they bring that energy. It's just, and it's coming down, and now it's starting to manifest through their five-windowed house. It can only be expressed generally to their students if their students can speak the same language or have a context in which they can take this energy and put it. The Christians put it in the context of the teachings of Christ, which is, very beautiful. If you read the red letters in the Bible, just the teachings of Christ will astonish you. It's also stated in the Eightfold Path of Buddhism. Enlightened teachers throughout the ages have tried to convey enlightenment to their students and to people around them. And it's always done imperfectly because it is coming into a body, into a six-windowed house that is limited by speech, by language, by culture, by ignorance, and the fact that maybe you only have one religious thing that you can hang on to and be. You can only explain it maybe in Hinduism or maybe in Buddhism. So it kind of doesn't affect Christians that much, you might say. So we're coming in, we're bringing enlightenment into our body, and it's coming out through us, through our physical and human limitations to convey this. But in addition to our ability to convey it and to talk about it and to teach about it and to try to get people to do better, Guru Heart, we know that it can't be done what we just had. We're just doing the best we can. We're pulling that energy in, and we're as cleanly as we can give it out. The student who's sitting in the presence of an enlightened teacher feels that radiation. It's coming through the teacher's filters. Remember that. But it's good that it's coming through the student's filter now. And some students resonate with it, and it takes them up. Other people watching the master or the enlightened being meditate, their ego doesn't allow that energy to come in because it's very threatening to the ego. And so they get nothing. Christ walked around, he had 12 disciples. Other people would listen, they would come by, they would get healed. He only had 12 people that followed him. And in the end, even they didn't show up in his hour of need. But he did a good job. What I'm suggesting here is every spiritual teacher, no matter how enlightened, still is disseminating this through their body, through their being. And if a teacher hasn't worked out certain issues, then that will be reflected in their students. And in their teaching. But to the advanced student, there's a trick. And what you do is when you're with the teacher and they're in that state of mind, and everything is open, because it always is when the teacher is there. Their heart, everything is totally open when they're in samadhi. The student can enter in to that vortex of energy and just follow it up. And it will take you as high as you can let it. And then when you settle back down into your body, you're bringing that enlightened energy into your life. And the things that you wanted healed or that you wanted spirit to do for you happens. And those things that you're not sure of, those things that you haven't worked out in your life, they're exposed. So enlightenment is kind of a tragic, horrible, amazing, wonderful experience. It is terrible and wonderful at the same time. It's terrible in that it's showing you your physicality and your flaws and your doubts. It's showing you constantly as you're in that energy. It shows you the things that you haven't worked out. And you'll find yourself hanging on to those things. I was lucky. When I studied with my teacher, I very quickly moved from studying with the man to studying with the enlightened being. I only knew the enlightened being. That's all I meditated with. That's all I studied. That's all I wanted. I was not interested in who he dated, where he lived, what cars he drove, how much money he had. I wasn't interested in any of that. That was the human form. If I focused on that, I would be bringing that enlightened energy down through his lower being and really corrupting the whole thing. So when you're working with an enlightened teacher, you look forward to the time when you're meditating with them. That's who you want to meditate with. The being that's around afterwards, not important. That's transitory. This physical body is transitory. It won't be here very much longer. A few years. A few short years. But the enlightenment, the transmission, is timeless. Now, along the enlightenment path, you find yourself coming up and facing yourself. The underbelly of your being is always being exposed to the light. It's a horrible experience, and yet it's a wonderful experience, because until you get a grip on those areas of your life that you have not worked out, you're stuck. And this enlightened energy has the ability to dissolve what's been sticking you, if you let it. You are always in control. I can't make you do anything. You can meditate with me and have a nasty, horrible experience. Or you can meditate with me and go where I go. How much can you let go? How much can you surrender? And when you sit with an enlightened teacher, when you go home and you're sitting on your little cushion or your meditation table and you're meditating, what you should do, the proper thing to do, is to pick the highest meditation you've had with your teacher and pull that up inside your being and start there. Any thoughts, any feelings, any emotions that come up in your meditation, you dissolve them into the light. And you fill that space with divine love. Divine love is not emotional. It has really no feeling. It is more of a perfection than anything. But it is what everything is made of. We seek to perfect ourselves. We seek to uncover the flaws and the shortcomings. We seek to release and find redemption from our guilt and our shame and all of those feelings of being inadequate and not worthy. As we dissolve these things in divine love, and we come back into this world and we try to live our life with as much of that energy as we can, pushing it forth in Buddhism through the Eightfold Path. Or if you're a Christian, you push it through as the teachings of Jesus, the Christ. Not his disciples, not interested in them. I'm interested in the enlightened one. And you'll find that what they all teach is what Christ called the gospel, which is quit doing bad things. Love your enemies. Be kind. Be gentle. Bind the wounds. Feed the poor, the hungry. Just do good things. That's the gospel. That's the good news, because when you do that, you start entering into the path of Dharma. You start entering into the path of enlightenment. And as long as you're seeking it out there, it's always going to be out there. But when you're working with a teacher, it's something different. You seek it in your own heart, and you take that enlightenment that's being radiated out, that's being pushed out by the teacher from their own consciousness in ways that words cannot describe, because if it's done really perfectly, there are no words. And as it comes down and you feel that energy being made available to you, and you open your heart and you enter into that energy, not into the person, not into the being, but into enlightenment, you will start aligning yourself with the door. Teachers are doorways. They open the door to the other room. You have to knock. I'm ready. They open the door, and then you have to walk through. They won't reach out and grab you and pull you. A man convinced against his will remains unconvinced still. You will enter into that world alone. And in that aloneness, you will find everything. It's been said in many, many ways. To have it all, you must first give everything up. No sacrifice is too great for enlightenment. So when you're working with a teacher, you're waiting for that consciousness, you're waiting for that point of enlightenment, as periodically it beams forth. And when it beams forth, you grab that energy and follow right up, surrendering everything to it. And like the teacher, after the meditation, you will bring that enlightened energy down, and you'll start working it through your world. You'll become aware of your flaws and your shortcomings. You become very sensitive to the energies of others, your own energies, and how you take those energies and how you work with those energies. Are you taking negative energies and fighting it? Or are you taking this energy and just dissolving everything into love? Are you taking this energy and dissolving everything into love, including you? As long as you think you're working with an enlightened teacher and that teacher is just going to do it all for you, then you're going to stand at the door and never walk in that other room. And when you work with a teacher and you walk through that room enough, pretty soon you have your own door. You no longer need a teacher. You have found the way, the path. So when you see enlightened teachers, you can see two things. You can see their enlightenment, or you can see their humanness. They have to have a humanness in order to bring that enlightenment into the world. But make no mistake, the humanness is not what you need to worry about. You need to worry about connecting to the enlightenment. The last step to enlightenment is moving past the teacher. the thing that you have learned to love the most and cherish the most, you reach a point where you have to literally move past the teacher. You will not become enlightened until you reach that point, but first you have to reach the point. And what happens too often is that people meet an enlightened teacher and they think they have it all because they're focusing a lot on the human part of that teacher. And they say, well, I've got that. I've got everything he can do now. And no enlightenment. What you focus on, you become. What you touch touches you. When you sit with me or any teacher, what are you touching? Are you touching the being? Are you worshiping the flesh or the vehicle? Or are you tuning into enlightenment? And are you seeking to bring that enlightenment into your everyday world? You may never sit on the couch and have people surround you with flowers and accolades. You may not even sit in a cave. You might not. I don't care. Maybe the best way is in your everyday life, how you treat others, how you treat yourself, how you take care of yourself. And when you find yourself becoming more human, you find yourself getting angry or frustrated or doubtful, you go back to the meditation table, you meditate on your teacher a little higher. And if your teacher's not doing it for you, find one that will. But find the door that lets you into that space. And then take that into your everyday life. Do what you can for others. Be selfless. Be considerate and kind. Have empathy, which creates compassion. Be a saint. Be as beautiful as you can. And on those days when things don't go well, when you find yourself mucking around, kicking the dirt beneath your feet, stop. That's just your ego saying nothing works, this isn't happening, this isn't going to happen. Just stop. Remember this moment. All you have to do is wake up. That's all you have to do. You're not creating anything. You're not becoming something that you are not. You're simply opening up to that part that's above the physical, that's more expansive. You're bringing that divine presence into your world. You're forgiving people, you're forgiving yourself, you're moving on, you're doing what you can to help others, you're spreading the gospel, being kind and considerate and loving. There. Good luck. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can do this in this life. Cast away doubt. Cast away all of those thoughts that say you can't do it, that you're not worthy or you're not advanced enough. Cast them aside. Cast everything aside. Step into eternity. Letting go of all moorings, all of the ties to this world. Letting go of everything and everyone. Dissolving yourself into the clear light of reality, the Dharmakaya. And really doing your best to bring that essence into your everyday world, into everyone you meet, into everything that you do. In the beginning, you may only be able to do it a few times a day, but you'll find that it's around you all the time. These are things that I call perfect moments. Throughout the day, there will be a moment where maybe you'll look up and you'll see the sun shining through the leaves in a tree, and it's just so beautiful. Just for a second, that's a perfect moment. That's a moment of enlightenment. Hold up a little puppy, sitting there, smell its puppy breath, and rub its little tummy. Enlightenment. Holding somebody who's going through a tough time as they're racking with sobs in your arms, and you're just feeling love for them. Enlightenment. It's expressed in so many ways throughout the days. And the more that you pay attention to those perfect moments, the more you'll be aware of them. And pretty soon you'll go through days, maybe weeks, of one perfect moment after the other. It's what we used to call walking in the spirit, being of this world, being in this world, but not of it. There you go. It comes slowly. You may only have one or two perfect moments a day. Keep your meditation, keep it high. Keep on the divine. Don't give up. Don't let your ego tell you that it's not working. And it will tell you every day. Every day. Determined to do your best. We're only here for a few short decades, maybe less. So make your time work. Do good deeds. Do heroic things. Don't judge others. Quit trying to manipulate and dominate people. It doesn't work. It just creates you being in that consciousness. Enlightenment is as enlightenment does. What are you doing? Are you being really holy and wonderful up here, and yet in your daily life you're just a real jerk? That doesn't work. For you, let go of it. Love yourself. Love everyone. God is love. God is everywhere. There's nothing but God. How can you be separate? How can you be away from that except in your own mind? Step up. Make the determination that this is a prize worth having. Make the determination that you can do this. And if you get discouraged or wondering about things, and you're lucky enough to have a teacher, you try to catch that teacher in their very highest state of mind. And if they're not in that state of mind, give them a chance to go there before you start asking your questions. So good luck with this. Good luck with your enlightenment. You can be enlightened in this lifetime. If you're even watching this video, there's some part of you that knows you can do it, or you wouldn't be watching it. Not everybody sees this, you know. Very few people see this. It's open to everyone, but very few people do it. But you can be one who does. So good luck. I'll see you on the path. It's a happy way. I can't recommend it enough. Namaste.